Live from the slightly twisted deck bar, it's the Poojie Podcast with Justin Lemie.
The Poojie Podcast is proudly sponsored by Cimarron Golf Club, located in Jacksonville, Florida, off County Road 210, just west of St. John's Parkway.
What is going on, everyone? It is Thursday, June 25th, and it is lunchtime, so it's time for a sports update. I do have a great interview coming up for you in a little bit, but just do want to talk about this date in sports history briefly. Back in 1997, Tim Duncan drafted first overall by the Spurs. Also, Blake Griffin drafted first overall by the LA Clippers a decade or so later. And then Karl Anthony Towns drafted first overall by the Minnesota Timberwolves. So some generational talent there in the NBA. And fun fact for you about Tim Duncan, 2 years on the exact date after he was drafted, the Spurs won their first championship in NBA. So pretty cool fact there for you. But the NBA does a great job of gathering fans from all over the world, whether it's Argentina, Spain, France, and obviously here locally and domestically in the United States, gaining fans day after day. A sport that maybe doesn't do the best job of that, I would say, is baseball. Baseball has a very diverse player group, but when it comes to fans, part of me feels like baseball loses more fans on average per year than they gain. And baseball just recently signed a agreement between the players and the owners to play 60 games this season and a shortened season, which we're glad that they did. I feel like that could have been detrimental to the sport had they not agreed to that. A reason why baseball doesn't do a good job of trying to go out and find new fans. Baseball does a good job of saying, we have the fans we have, and we are going to put the best product on the field for those fans. Unlike the NFL and the NBA, who are constantly trying to improve the product to try and gain more fans. This could have been detrimental to the sport of baseball because all of those diehard fans might not have been very happy with what baseball did, keeping the sport away from them this season had they not agreed to something. Now, what it means for minor league baseball, no one knows. It seems like they might have expanded rosters at the major league level, but we're looking forward to seeing what comes of this baseball season. Obviously, things took a very quick turn based on last week's episode where it seemed like they were at a stalemate. So we do have the 60-game season, which I think baseball might actually find beneficial. I think they might see that viewership is up. Seeing that game one of a 60-game season means that much more for every single team. You have these teams like the Tigers, the Orioles, maybe even the Marlins, who don't necessarily have a chance after the All-Star break. But here you have a situation where for 60 games, anyone's in it. And a 10-game win streak means that much more than it did when there was 162 games. So I'm excited that baseball came to that agreement. Obviously, like all of you, I'm excited for sports to just be making its comeback anyway. And that was Let's Talk About It. So please enjoy this interview and stick around for Poojie Parlay afterward. Again, it is Thursday, June 25th. We are here at String Sports Brewery, and they are bringing you this interview. So sit back and enjoy it, and stick around for Poojie Parlay. Thanks. Excited to have our next guest here. He is the Assistant Athletics Director of Hashtag Content at UCF and a Jacksonville native as well. I'm going to go into a few cool stories about what he's done in his time at UCF with the sports and athletics department. So thanks for being here, Eric DeSalvo.
Hey, Justin. Appreciate it, man. Good to be on. Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And I know you just recently started a family down in Orlando. How's everyone doing down there through these times?
Yeah, we're doing well. Work from home life is interesting, but it's super enjoyable. My wife, amazing. She's an emergency medicine physician, and she works up in the hospital up in Lake County. So she's been going in here and there, and all her colleagues and all our medical professionals across the world, man, God bless them. And but it's allowed me to be home with her and with our 11-month-old son, Sebastian. So it's been fun seeing him grow and being able to spend that quality time here, whereas I would only be able to spend a couple hours a day if I was at the office, whereas I get to see them a lot more now, and seeing him grow in this stage is really neat.
Yeah, and I imagine it is a little bit of a blessing in disguise being able to spend some more time with your son. So that has to be enjoyable. But I do just kind of want to go through some of your background, what kind of got you into your current role, into that I guess passion for content, social media driven marketing, those kinds of things. Take me through that a little bit.
Yeah, it all started. I mean, I was obsessed with sports from the get-go. My dad was a sports editor for years before he switched into a different section of the newspaper. But thanks to him, I was sports obsessed from a young age and always wanted to go into a line of work in sports. And I thankfully found the athletics communications office at UCF when it was in junior year, so 2007, and got to start there. The first year the stadium opened on campus and was handing out stats in the press box and just doing some pretty basic stuff in there, but making connections, and turned it into a full-time internship the next year in that office, and wanted to continue in that field. I knew that was a good way for me to be involved in sports. And so I found a graduate assistantship up at Northern Arizona in Flagstaff, which is just about 70 miles southeast from the Grand Canyon. So it all worked out. There were some Florida connections in that office, and my boss was awesome. And that's really where my passion for creating content and social media took off, because when you work in Flagstaff, you don't have media outlets covering you. And so you're your own media, and having that mindset, you're putting out videos. I was using one of those flip cams that we used back in the day and editing cross-country highlights. I know those are exhilarating. And I worked with the track and field and cross-country teams, which were actually the two best teams there, because all these athletes wanted to train up at elevation. So it was really neat to understand that my passion lied in that area. And so those 2 years, they were incredible. And I came back to Florida after I graduated back home, and thankfully it all worked out to where I was able to get a full-time job a couple months later back at UCF Athletics in the athletics communications office that I had interned in. And my sports there at that time were volleyball and baseball mainly. And so, but it was the same kind of mindset. I was responsible for creating all that content for those sports teams, and there wasn't a bunch of media coverage focused on those teams. So it allowed me to hone in my passion that I developed out in Flagstaff for photography and being able to shoot with teams, creating highlights. I did a coaches show for volleyball. Shout out to Todd Dagenet. He's still holding it down and winning championships at UCF. But man, I would edit this on my Mac and put in highlights of volleyball matches and stuff for 50 to 100 people. But man, I busted my butt for that, and you know, it's obviously paid off. So and then in 2013, when Vine was born, I started using that for baseball season, my second year with the team. And those sorts of things showed the people above that I was passionate about this area. So in 2013, Keel Blake, who had set up our social media department in 2012, he moved on, and Zach Lasser was our external AD at the time, and he reached out to me and said, hey, I think you'd be good for this role to oversee the main athletics accounts social media-wise. You'd be moving into the marketing department, and I think you could have a much better chance at elevating yourself within here if you take this position. And I talked about it for weekends and thought it over and decided to make that switch. And the best time to ever make that switch when Blake Bortles is leading your football team to the Fiesta Bowl and you're making all these marquee wins. So that year kind of elevated it all, went from a staff of basically me and some interns to thankfully now we've got 2 full-time graphic designers in our department, our hashtag content department. We got myself, we got assistant director of hashtag content, Courtney Peter, who's awesome, and then a great intern team who keeps a lot of our stuff fresh and relevant. So it's run the whole gamut of starting with a one-person shop to growing that and having great leadership above to allow me to grow that too.
Yeah, and that's got to be rewarding for you, being able to start, like you mentioned, handing out stats to now overseeing the department at the school and you went to. And, you know, you even mentioned the department is titled hashtag content. So that's, you know, just how focused it is on the social media side of things as far as creating those different hashtags, you know, UC Fast, UC Fierce, things like that. And just to kind of get the fans involved and give everyone something to rally behind. What has it been like? And I don't know if you have experience in this, you know, before social media really took off, but I guess in your opinion, building a brand via social media, like how much do you attribute social media to the brand that UCF has become, not only regionally within Florida, but I guess nationwide among college athletics?
I think most of all, it's allowed us to showcase our student athletes and their accomplishments at a wider, on a larger scale and a more behind the scenes view as well, because early on we weren't getting that. You only saw what you saw on TV and in highlights and stuff like that. And so once social media channels started in having more video components to them, it lent itself to be able to show more of those behind the scenes thing. I mean, recording that coverage from when we were knocking off Penn State, and I took a raw video on a Canon Rebel camera of like us leaving the field, and you could hear faintly in at Penn State in Happy Valley just the UCF fans, UCF, and it was like just goosebumps. And like to be able to get that on video and the guys celebrating, and to put that, I remember I put it on Instagram after I got it, and seeing all of our fans like celebrate it and everything like that, you knew like more of that was going to create a deeper relationship between the fans and the teams. And seeing that evolution to where I had a fan come and say, hey man, my wife is a larger UCF fan than ever before because you guys are making these Netflix series. And it's like, that's the coolest thing ever, is to hear compliments like that we're causing deeper fan connections with our teams. And so seeing that evolution is just insane.
And you mentioned Netflix there towards the end. What have been some of the favorite projects, maybe some of the favorite initiatives that you've gotten to work on in your time kind of leading the department there at UCF?
Yeah, our video team is incredible. And Zach Peterson and Dalton Conrad really are the brains behind Netflix and making that happen after each game. And so being able to hit send on those is my favorite part. You get the notification that the final version's ready for you to upload to the back end of all the social channels, and we like huddle around in the office and watch it together before we put it out. It's really cool. But I think some of those initiatives probably starts with bringing back the Citronaut as a faux back game we started in 2014 with baseball, if you recall. We had these really cool, unique uniforms. And Zach Lasser, who was my previous boss, like he wanted to bring that Citronaut back. And so we did for baseball. And then in 2015, brought it back for men's and women's soccer. And then when we took it to the football level in 2018 and bringing it onto the uniform, that really took off, pun intended. And so the Canaveral blue, that was Danny White, just loves that color, and being able to implement that into it in such a seamless way was super unique. And just seeing the way that something that is so true UCF to our core, we're a space school, we were founded for the space industry, and seeing us be able to tap into those roots and make something that is really cool and also educational at the same time, those are my favorite projects, because it involves all the people from our staff, video, communications, marketing, tickets, everybody's involved in that. And seeing like you're seeing behind you, the space game from 2019, where we wore those custom ones, paying homage to the Apollo, the 50th anniversary of landing on the moon, and being able to like storyboard those themes. Like, this is stuff that I never dreamed of happening as a UCF grad. And, we had some pretty drab uniforms back in the day. And for us to be doing this right now is like, wow. You just take a step back and you think of what we've been able to accomplish, and seeing that because of those projects, like the way that that's helped the brand evolve into who we really are. We're a young school, man. We're like, 56 years old as a university. We're babies. We've been playing D1 since 96. And to have that success and to be able to have that brand, and all about capitalizing on the success. That's really what it's about. These student athletes and coaches, they put the game plan together and they execute on the fields, and then it's up to us to execute on social and marketing and all that kind of stuff. So it's awesome. You can tell I'm passionate about the job.
Yeah, and you guys have really done a good job, like you mentioned, capitalizing on that. And I think, it kind of speaks for itself when you see those statistics come out quarterly and throughout the year on social media talking about impact and eyes seeing the content, and UCF is always up there in the top 25 with a lot of those other programs as far as fan engagement goes. So it's been great. And I think one of the other cool things about that Citronaut tie-in and kind of tapping into the roots has been it's kind of brought generations together as far as UCF fans have gone. And my dad, when he was starting at UCF, it was FTU, and finished when it was UCF. And it's been a really cool experience for him to kind of walk me through what the university was back in the 70s, and getting that Citronaut logo back on the uniform and giving it exposure, I think really kind of brings back the generations from the 70s and kind of ties that in with the modern social media craze of the content. So it's been a really cool, experience from a fan's point of view, being able to watch that evolution of the brand and see what it's become. And you mentioned the space game. I mean, I know you posted a little bit of a teaser a while ago. Any insight or any little tidbits of anything that might be in store for this season's space game?
Man, the look we're going to have is, I would like to say it's just a badass look. It's what we were able to come up with. Our design team, Saeed Alpazar and Emma Schneider, those two combined and kind of blew us away with a presentation of a bunch of different options. And so what we settled on, I know our fans are going to appreciate a different look from
we're all definitely very excited. One, to get back to sports, and two, to definitely get back to UCF athletics. And unfortunately the spring sports got cut a little bit, and baseball was off to a hot start. So unfortunate there, but when all this does pass, we know that you guys are going to have a lot of great things in store, and we're looking forward to that football season coming, that home opener against UNC. So we're definitely excited. Yeah,
man, we can't wait. It is a bummer to see it end so short for so many of our sports that were just crushing. Both tennises, you knew rowing was going to win another title. Softball, baseball were in line to even be hosts right now with the way their RPI was going and who they were knocking off. So you feel for those student athletes and those staffs and all those people who put in so many hours, for that season. But just knowing that they'll come back stronger. The resiliency of a UCF night is incredible. We've seen it on display across all of our sports. So I expect them to come back better and stronger for this situation.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but speaking on the success of the athletics, I think I saw either the UCF Knights Twitter post, I don't know where it was, but talking about how our athletics, I guess, programs have been above 500 the past 2 years across all sports that are recognized.
Yeah, it was actually solidified to 3 years now. The only school in the country where all of our head-to-head sports have finished with an above 500 record. So incredible. 2 years ago, we were one of 4 programs. And then last year, we were the only program to do it in back-to-back years. And then this year, we did it again. So we're only programmed to do it 3 straight years. So just goes to show that down years aren't really down years, right? Like it's impressive what all of our teams do as a whole. And, football leads the charge. But the way our other programs continue to rack up conference championships, and as well as just doing so well in the classroom and in the community, that makes you extremely proud as an alum and fan of a program, is to see it be a complete program and have complete success on and off the field.
And Danny White has definitely, solidified that statement across the past few years of building a top 25, not only football program, but athletics program. And he's certainly kind of done that over these past 3 years. Like you mentioned, 3 straight years, all head-to-head sports, over 500 record, only school to do that. So that's awesome. But Eric, I appreciate you being here, and always good catching up with you. I definitely look forward to seeing you down in Orlando at some games this year, and maybe even on the road at a few games. All right.
You got it, Justin. Hope that's the case, man.
All right. Sounds good. Have a good one.
You too.
So again, thank you to String Sports Brewery in North Jacksonville for bringing us that interview. And
damn, they have a good ass chicken sandwich.
You heard it here. The locals love it. They have a good ass chicken sandwich. But time for Poojie Parlay, presented by Shores Pub Mandarin. We are in the middle of round 1 of the TPC River Highlands Travelers Championship, and we got some low scores today. Mackenzie Hughes, the Canadian, shooting 10 under, finished the day with a round of 60, so 1 stroke shy of tying a 59 record there. Rory Mcilroy, another big name on the leaderboard, so excited to see him get it up there as well, tied for or in second, sole possession of second. Phil Mickelson, love seeing him compete at this high level, 6 under right now Sergio Garcia, another veteran on the tour. Bryson DeChambeau, not surprised to see him up there. So already on Thursday, halfway through round one, we're looking at a nice weekend ahead for some competitive golf. Also this weekend, we do have two races at Pocono with the Organics 325 and the Pocono 350 on Sunday. So looking forward to getting you those Poojie Parlay NASCAR picks here in the next few days. So be on the lookout for that probably tomorrow. Also right now we do have some EPL going on. So part of the reason I like getting into EPL is it gives us some sports to watch and concern ourselves with in the afternoon. We got Burnley and Watford on right now. I believe that's tied 0-0 at the half. We also have Arsenal and Southampton playing. Arsenal's winning that one 1-0, and then Man City versus Chelsea at 3:15. So, again, trying to work on my soccer betting to bring you those picks as I move forward. But for now, take the picks for NASCAR and golf and win some money, of course. So that was Poojie Parlay Picks presented by Shores Pub Mandarin. Hope you guys are having a great week and only one day from the weekend, and you guys all enjoy a fantastic weekend. And be on the lookout on the Instagram, the Poojie Podcast, for some very good sports betting videos and clips from all of the interviews we have. So until next time, take care.
Be sure to follow our show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other podcast streaming services, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel to check out unique video elements for each interview.